As model railroaders, we like to think of ourselves as builders. But to be honest, we're really illusionists. Much like Houdini, David Blaine, or Penn and Teller, our job is to pull off a visual heist, convincing the eye and the mind that something small is actually massive, because space is always our enemy. We rely on a toolkit of stage tricks, photo backdrops, forced perspective, and shallow building fronts. Hi everyone, Fran here from the 5-Minute Modeler. Today I'm pulling a new trick out of my sleeve to solve a common layout problem, making a tiny industrial footprint feel like a sprawling acres-wide operation. We often talk about using backdrops to fake depth, but we rarely discuss how the front edge of the layout can do the exact same thing. Case in point, my scrapyard. As originally built, it was boxed in by a tight fence line. It had an office, a track siding, and some junk piles, but it looked way too small to realistically warrant processing 2 or 3 gondolas of scrap a week. Real-world scrapyards span acres. My friend Thom Placier masterfully solved this on his layout. His scrapyard runs right off the front edge of the benchwork. You can't see where it ends, but you know it keeps going for miles. That's the illusion I'm after today as I completely rebuild and expand the Cedar Springs scrap and steel industry. Looking at aerial photos, 2 things stand out. These facilities are massive, but they're also surprisingly organized. Materials like iron, steel, and aluminum are sorted into distinct zones. The ground matches the scrap, heavy, dark, rusty tones. To emulate this, I started with a total teardown. I ripped out the old foliage, structures and all, except for the rail-side fence. To create a fresh canvas, I spread a thin layer of joint compound, sanded it smooth, and laid down a base coat of earth-colored washes, blotting up the excess with a paper towel to blend the tones. For the scrap itself, I'm using cast piles from Monroe Models and Chooch, enhanced with custom rust washes. To prevent them from looking like they're just sitting on top of the layout, I traced their footprints and carved out about a 1/16 of an inch of the foam layout base so they sit flush. I then blended the edges using fine ballast, secured with the classic alcohol, water, and matte medium technique. While this dried, I added static grass weeds along the fence lines to add to my scrapyard feel. I also added some structural detail. Real yards use massive concrete bins to separate metals. In end scale, a 2-foot thick retaining wall equals a 1/4 inch. I constructed a 3-bin set using 1/4 inch balsa wood, squared them up on my magnetic gluing jig, and coated them in joint compound. Once sanded, painted, and weathered, it gives the perfect texture of rugged beaten concrete. Next, I pushed the fence lines further out and added realistic gates at the road and spur entrances. I used a simple trick here, gluing thin wire legs to the gate material and dropping them into brass K&S tubing embedded in the foam. Now they actually pivot and provide additional operational moves when switching the industry. Finally, I tackled a crucial element that most modelers skip, the truck weigh scale. In the 1970s, as they are today, these were vital for calculating scrap value by weighing trucks before and after they dumped their loads. I scratch built a vintage scale using sheet and strip styrene, weathered it heavily, and test fitted into the seam. We've successfully broken the scene out of its box, and the illusion of a massive facility running off the aisleway is already taking shape. There's still a lot of detailing, machinery, and weathering left to do, which I'll cover in upcoming episodes. If you want to see how this magic trick turns out, take a second to hit that subscribe button and follow along. And until next time, happy modeling.